legends where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan got the word. In the world of EV8 we play.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Commander's Pod. I'm your pod father, Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
And we are Jeffless once again. He is under the weather today, so hope he feels better soon. But today we have a special episode. We're talking about the Tarkir Dragonstorm set. We're just going to go over a couple things you need to know about it because it comes out tomorrow is the pre-release.
Yeah, when you guys are listening to this, pre-release will be Friday. So we're going to have a chance
You got something right there.
Thank you. We're going to have a chance to talk about this stuff literally the day before. You guys are going to be able to get your hands on it for the first time. I'm sure at our shop we're going to see lots of people messing around with this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be pre-release events. Some people are looking for specific things.
Yeah.
They're going to be opening packs. You're going to see them in their decks, So we'll try and get you ready for what to expect. We're just going to move right into it because there's a lot to get over. So.
Yeah, not a lot of time and a whole lot of information for sure.
All right, so first we'll talk about the different treatments that you can see in this set. So the retro serialized, the serialized card is Mox Jasper, and it is a retro treatment on that. So
yeah, so the frame, for those of you who may not know what that means, is it's the old school framing around the card that they used to do in the old sets, called retro framing is what they now deem it as.
Right. So and that will be available in serialized cards if you are so lucky, because those are usually pretty valuable.
Yeah, and I think 500 is what I saw.
Yeah,
the number.
500. That's the standard thing they'll do unless they do something weird.
Right.
And then they have their showcase is called a Ghost Fire. It's hard to explain, but it's just got some like flamey kind of motifs to it.
Yeah, I think from what I saw, because I saw some pictures of this already.
I'll put one up behind us,
we'll put one up behind us. I think it's almost like when you hit it at certain angles, it looks like the foil fire on kind of the card. So,
right. And now the foil version is only available in collector boosters on that. And by the way, the serialized card only available in collector boosters.
Right. Yeah, like they've been doing the last couple of times as well.
The foil's only in the collector boosters. There are 10 mythic rares that get this treatment. So the non-foil you can get in any pack, the foil only in collector boosters.
Right.
And then they have some special guests. They have the ultimatums that they've reprinted.
Yep.
And those come in non-foil and foil. Excuse me. And then they have reprinted the fetch lands as guest cards. Now,
right.
The guest cards are not standard legal.
Right.
The fetch lands, however, are going to be available in normal, foil, or dragon scale form foil.
Right.
And I saw a kind of imitation of what that might look like. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like you would think it's dragon scales making up the foiling, kind of like they've done with swirls or with the free out Phyrexian mana.
Right.
But it looks really cool.
Yeah, that one I'm pretty excited about. I am kind of glad that they finally reprinted these fetch lands because I feel like it's been a while since we've seen a reprinting of them. Now, granted, they're still fetch lands, so don't anticipate them to drop down to really low pricing, obviously.
Right.
But at least, hopefully, we'll see a little bit of a pullback in the market on them cost-wise, so that maybe they're a little bit more affordable, at least for a little while.
Right, and I think it's important they put them in this set because dragon decks, you usually at least 3 colors.
Yeah, as Jeff would always tell us, his dragon deck's 5 colors, and most good dragon decks are going to be 5 colors because they're Ur-Dragon.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the standard, is you're going to have a lot of lands that you need. They're going to cover multiple different colors that you're going to need to cast your stuff, but also you're going to want to have ones that have names on them, basic land names on them, so you can use these fetches to go get them.
Right.
So.
And little tip, thing people don't realize, you can use fetches that aren't necessarily in your colors if it has one of the lands that you need.
Correct. As long as it has, one of the land types that you need, you can use a fetch to go get that one.
Yep, it is legal in Commander.
Because technically speaking, it doesn't actually produce any of the mana. You're just going to get something that is either one of those two producing types. That's
right, which you would only have one choice if it said Island Swamps and yours was a red, blue, white. You couldn't get swamps. You don't have any. You shouldn't have any. Those would be illegal.
Yeah.
But you can go get the island.
Correct.
So, And then, so we'll talk about the mechanics.
Yeah. So
So we have,
I think they might have heard again you, Duncan, and they said, "All right, Duncan, we're gonna stick it to you because
they said we're not going to do one new mechanic.
yeah, if you want to think of it that way,
Yeah,
maybe
they said we're not going to do a new
they
mechanic.
reverse teased you.
We're going to
They're
do 7 new mechanics.
Yeah, so 7 new mechanics with this set. We're going to go into each of them a little bit, but first, Duncan's going to hit the returning guys.
Yeah, so returning, we have Bolster, Rebound, Exploit, Dash, Megamorph, and Formidable. So
Yeah,
those are the returning ones you'll see that were already done in previous.
Yeah, and the only ones that I probably say that you see the most now of these ones that they're redoing is probably the Exploit or the Rebound, I would say. You don't really see it.
Dash is pretty, I mean, especially with Henzi.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's getting more popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Exploit's the one because it's that's going to be what you're going to have in a lot of those sacrificial decks and stuff like that want to get rid of stuff.
But we're not going to go over those. You can look those up. There's plenty of stuff out there on those. Again, too much. So let's get into the ones that are new for this set. So first we have Omen.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yep. So I'll give a brief description, then he'll give the breakdown from what they wrote up from the release notes. Omen, it's kind of like Adventures, but it shuffles after casting instead of exiling.
Right.
So you can't just cast it again, but it does shuffle so you can get it back.
Right. So the advantage of this is because, like he said, it's like Adventure. You have the creature card part. You also have the other part. So, for example, the one that they give is Scavenger Regent. 3 and a black. It's a dragon, clearly. But then it has, as a sorcery Omen, Exude Toxin X black. Each non-dragon creature gets -X until end of turn. So if you cast it for that sorcery Omen, you then get to shuffle it back into your deck.
Right.
Which to me, a little bit more on the powerful side. The reason why I say that is because if you need to, if you want to recast it, sure. If you put it in exile, like with Adventure, it's there. But then people kind of always know, like they're kind of staying aware of it.
Right. They can see it right there.
Right, exactly. Because it sits there. There's literally actually Adventure token cards you can get where you can put the creature so it says on an adventure. So that way people know. With this one, because you kind of tuck it back in, you can keep just recasting the sorcery part.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Adventure.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's like,
well, unless you have the tricky thing, I have Lear, Disciple of the Drowned.
right, where you can
I
bounce.
get the one. I can guess the adventure on the flashback part, and then I get the creature back. And
right.
Then it goes to the
So
graveyard.
there are some there's some tricky things. But the thing with this is you could basically have this and use this board wipe 3 times in one game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same exact board wipe every time, but it's because it just keeps going back in. So
that is really good.
right, and that's my point with this. So that's why I'm saying, in my opinion, this mechanic a little bit stronger than Adventure. I think this could potentially, depending on what they printed, this could potentially be a problem mechanic.
Yeah, if it's a good card and you get to keep doing it, that's fantastic. The second one we're going to do is Mobilize. And the brief description is when you attack, make blank tapped and attacking 1/1 red warriors, sacrifice them at the end step.
Yeah, so the cool thing about this one is this is very reminiscent of kind of a Myriad effect where you get to make multiple token copies of the attacking creature with Myriad and they attack each opponent. The cool thing about this one, though, is it's different than Myriad is you have to exile them at the end of your turn. This is sacrifice. And so the big difference with this, and again, why I think this is a notch up over Myriad, is that anything that cares about your creatures dying is going to get this trigger.
Right.
So the one that they use is Shock Brigade. It's a Goblin Soldier Menace, 1/3, and it has Mobilize 1. Whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red creature token, sacrifice at the beginning of your next end step. So 1, you get to pick who it attacks. But then because it's being sacrificed, anything that cares about death, boom, trigger.
The other thing is, now the one thing I will say with Myriad that's nice is you get the creature's abilities again and its stats again. You don't get that.
You don't get that, unfortunately.
But yeah, to your point, for sacrifice decks, what do they call them? Aristocrat decks, things like that. It's great. The other thing is if you have things like the Master I can't remember which of the master cards from Doctor Who, but one of them says permanents can't make you sacrifice tokens.
Right, so you can literally potentially keep all these tokens out if you
Right.
have that combo
Or if you
out.
end the turn, you know,
Right.
there's things you can do. So there's ways to cheat it.
Right,
you know.
and so for example, the one that, and I told Duncan about this because this is one of the mechanics where I read it, I was actually kind of excited about, is I'm building a Kel's Fight Fixer deck is her name. She's a black and a blue, and she specifically says on her, whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may pay blue or black, you get to draw a card. So one of the ones that they showcased here with the notes that we have is Avenger of the Fallen. It's a 2 black creature human warrior with Death Touch, mobilize X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Yeah, you know what an aristocrat deck has a lot of in its graveyard?
Creatures,
Yeah. So I was like, when I was talking to Duncan about this, I was like, man, I hope to make some good blue and black ones because I'd really like to get my hands on it. Yeah, I'm getting my hands on this one for sure because imagine being able to create 6 or 7 tokens and then they all sacrifice, and then I have Blood Artist out and I get 6 triggers of Blood Artist. Plus, I can potentially get 6 draws. Like,
Right.
and all I did is attack.
And the other thing this is kind of like is Najeela.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
very
It's kind of like giving a
Najeela-esque.
ton of creatures Najeela's ability.
Yeah, and so, and again, the major difference with Najeela compared to this is that hers stay.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Well, and the other thing is hers are limited to the number. I mean, not limited. Hers are as many as you have warriors. But you could use this with her because you can stack your triggers.
Right. And the thing
So
is,
if you had this in your deck, you could say, okay, well, I make these. Now the Najeela trigger. Now I'm going to create X. You know,
Right.
It's crazy.
because hers is also when she attacks, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would stack them, like you're saying, in the correct order. So, like, yeah, and this guy's also a warrior, too. He's a black human warrior. So, definitely, I like this mechanic. I think it is a good way to give back kind of a little bit of power to tokens because I think we've seen a lot of dipping in tokens. And I think the main reason why is because they're usually so weak. Like, one board wipe gets rid of them. Well, if you're only getting them for attacking and then they sacrifice anyways, like, it kind of gives them some relevance because it's not like someone's like, okay, well, you create a bunch of tokens, great, on my turn I just board wipe and they're all gone.
Right.
You know, so I feel like this is kind of a good way to give them some power. It's definitely, in my opinion, I think it's, again, depending on what kind of cards they print on them with this, I definitely think this is something that you're going to see potentially in a lot of these types of decks that want to create a bunch of little creatures and attack because you're essentially giving them haste, you know, because they're getting to come out and attack and you get to pick who they're attacking. So I like the mobilize mechanic. I think that's a cool one in the set. I know all new mechanics are are bad according to Duncan, but this is one I think could definitely be a lot of fun to play around with.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one. You're going to see a lot. And spoiler alert, there's some other stuff coming up. Very good for tokens.
Yeah, so I think they tilted their hand a little bit with some of these mechanics, kind of showing you what they cared about when they started revealing these cards.
So next up is Harmonize. Now this is going to get confusing because there's a card called Harmonize.
Yeah, that's not wasn't the best decision maybe to name.
And
a
they
mechanic
don't do
after
the
a
same
card.
thing.
Yeah, no, not even close.
No.
So
it's a new graveyard cast ability. So you just went over those.
I did. I kind of
And now you
laughed
have
when
a new one.
I kind of laughed when I saw this because like, oh, that's hilarious. We just went over, and again, I didn't look up anything from this set about that. So this was unrelated to that at all. It was just because Duncan and Jeff happened to be building a zombie deck. So I was like, oh, well, they're usually zombies are kind of reminiscent of graveyards. So I figured I'd do a graveyard theme thing. So
with this, you tap a creature for reduced cost by generic X, where X is that creature's power, and then you exile the spell you're casting from your graveyard.
Right. So it's interesting because
I mean, that's a very good recast mechanic.
Right, because it's allowing you, again, to use these tokens maybe that you're generating and getting.
Well, do
For
something like
mana.
Galta.
Right.
How about a 12 reduction? Like, that's going to take off all the generic mana.
Right. And so the way it specifically words it, so the example, a couple cards they gave is Unending Whisper, which is normally 1 blue sorcery, draw a card. That's all it does. The Harmonize is 5 in a blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its Harmonize cost. You may tap a creature you control to reduce the cost by X, where X is its power, then exile this spell. So it allows you to get another cast out of it. You have to exile it afterwards.
Now,
so
that's interesting because I swear I did see at least one card. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I saw at least one where the cost for the harmonize was cheaper than the actual cost, or equivalent to, or close
Yeah,
to it.
that might be true. They only have 2 here that they list. The other one being Mammoth Bellow. 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 There you go. That's the word. I can't read, in case you don't know. So he's 2 green, blue, red, and his harmonize is 5 green, blue, red. So
that's a little closer, at least.
right, it's a little bit closer. So it's only 3 different generic. But again, the advantage is if you like, for example, this card creates a 5/5 green elephant.
So you can use that.
Yeah, you can literally. So you use this card, and you can literally use that creature to tap it, and then just do green, blue, red to make another one.
Which is a great value.
Right. So you're essentially, for what is that? 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, you get 2 5/5 green elephant creature tokens.
Right.
Essentially. Because you're gonna tap down the other one you make to cast this the second
Yep.
time. So interesting mechanic, interesting way to do recursion from the graveyard. Curious to see how this plays out, because again, you're going to have to tap down your creature. So I know that sometimes a lot of people are like,
Right.
I'd rather not tap down
It
this
also
creature.
matters. I don't know if there's a card that says all things get that, and the cost
Right.
is equal to their mana cost +2 or something.
Right, which very
Who
well,
knows?
because they've done it before,
Yeah.
Underworld
That
Breach
would be
does
kind
it.
of cool to play with.
Yeah, so
I don't know, but also we don't know how many of these abilities are going to stick around.
right, we don't know, and then the other thing too is we don't know how many of the cards in this set have all of these abilities. Like
Right.
it might be more heavily weighed on Harmonize or or what was it, Mobilize. They're all eyes. So it could be more heavily weighed that one. The other ones are less, or vice versa, or whatever the case may be. So we won't know yet until we get a full set release. But they usually do a pretty good job of evenly dispersing, because don't forget too, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 other returning mechanics that are also in this set. So you have a total of 13 mechanics in this set. Like, that is a lot of mechanics.
Woe to the new players playing in pre-release. That's
Yeah, for sure. If you're gonna pick up a precon, which I think they're doing 4, right?
Yep.
So if you're gonna pick up one of the precons, just have a
5.
phone.
I think there's 5.
Is there 5 again, or is it 4?
Yeah,
I thought they did 4. I can't remember. I'll have to double check. But
yeah, I know it's 3 color combos.
yeah. So just make sure you have a phone handy when you're playing, so you can look up all the mechanics and make sure, because there are some cards that they will probably put in there because they're so wordy that they don't actually write out the entire ability. So you get to look it up and make sure you know it. Hopefully they put a stinking mechanic card in the precons.
Yeah.
They're going to need it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next one is Behold.
Yep.
This one is very simple. I don't think it needed a keyword name,
Yeah.
but it says reveal a card in play or in your hand to gain an effect. So I'll say like Behold a Dragon to do this. So you would say, here's one I have played, or here's one from my hand.
Yeah, which is funny because they already have this mechanic in existence.
But they didn't have a name.
Right, they didn't call
That's
it
what I'm
anything.
saying. It didn't really. But hey, if this sticks around, that'd be nice, because it is less wordy if you just say Behold, but stinks for new players.
Right, and again, for example, dispelling exhale 1 on a blue instant as an additional cost to the spell. You may behold a dragon.
Yep.
Counter target spell unless his controller pays 2. If a dragon was beheld, counter that spell unless its controller pays 4. So essentially, it's giving you kind of like a quote unquote kicker cost.
Yeah.
If you do the kicker, you get the additional effect.
Right.
So again, not a horrible mechanic. I think giving a name to it, I guess, makes it a little bit simpler because it's technically existed.
Yeah.
Right, just without the name. I hope it's more than just dragons. I hope they beheld other things.
Did they give a second card for that?
Yeah,
one?
the second one's also a dragon.
Yeah, so
It's
maybe
behold a dragon.
Maybe in this one it is, but maybe next one.
Yeah, maybe they'll do something
that
else.
next one's the Galaxy set, I think. So maybe. Well, technically, the next one's Final Fantasy.
Oh, right, yeah.
But the next normal standard set is going to be the Galaxy one, and so
Right.
maybe it'll be Behold a
Star.
Alien.
Yeah, or whatever they do.
Yeah, whatever.
So, but yeah, again, not a horrible. I don't think it's a horrible mechanic. I don't think it's really game changing really too much.
It reminds me a lot of Gift from the Bloomborough.
Yeah.
Gift the fish, gift the card.
Yeah. Gift a tap treasure. Whatever.
Gift.
Nonsense.
Who cares? But anyway, let's move on to the next mechanic. The next one's called Endure. Now, I like this one because it's so versatile. Endure X means that you either put X 1/1 counter +1/+1 counters on this creature, or you create X 1/1 white spirit tokens.
Right.
That's a great. Now you have two different types of decks this can go in.
Right. So the cool thing about this is with the focus on either tokens or counters, like you're saying, like this kind of makes it a little bit more versatile of a card. Now, granted, it can only put the counters on itself. So you are limited in that sense.
Yeah.
Unlike, what's the other mechanic that when it comes in, you can put it on 1/1 counters on any creatures or create the servo artifact creatures.
Oh, Fabricate.
Right. So Fabricate is similar to this, except Fabricate, you can put them on other creatures. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be on the creature that's coming in. So
Yeah.
Fortress King Guard, 1 and a white dog soldier creature. When this creature enters, it endures 1. So you put a 1/1 counter on it when it enters, or create a 1/1 spirit creature token. So again, not
I
bad.
am guessing that is a 1/1.
It is a 1/2.
Ooh, hey, they bumped up its toughness.
Yeah, it made it a little thicker.
That makes it
on the
a
back.
little better for the 2 mana. 'Cause I
Yeah.
was gonna say 1/1. Yeah, I bet they made you work for that too, but at least they
Yeah.
give it a little more toughness.
So, and then the other one they show is a green Hydra, of course, because they need more ways to get 1/1 counters on themselves.
Yeah.
At the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. It's a 2/2. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. So that's a fun one where, again, you're kind of
that's
getting...
gonna get exponential.
Right. So that one, you kind of get both. You get the advantage of getting 1/1s on this creature. You also can then create the spirits if you want to, or you can just keep doing the 1/1s on every non-token. No. Non-token creature. Whenever any non-token creature goes. So you can just kind of make your own little army of all these 1/1s that are coming in.
Yeah.
With all these 1/1 counters. So again, I think it's a versatile mechanic. I think it's potentially one you're going to see maybe in decks that are trying to go wide.
Yeah. Yep.
I could see
Or
that.
trying to Voltron.
Yeah.
Because in that instance, don't all the counters go on that same creature?
Well, so for this one, all the 1/1 counters would go on the one that comes in,
Yeah.
and then it X's the number of counters on this creature, which is Warden of the Grove.
Right.
So, and at the beginning of your end step, you get to put a 1/1 on.
So if
anyways.
if there is enough cards and you did like an Endure deck, so you have other things making 1/1 creatures, or does it say non-token?
This one specifically is another non-token creature you control
that's a
enters.
Bummer.
Right.
They kept it from being broken, but
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
They learned their lesson.
But yeah, no, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I think it's okay mechanic.
So the next one is called Renew. So the Renew has like a cost sometimes, and it'll say, and then you exile the card to get another bonus effect.
Right. So this one specifically is going to be more, I think, because of the way they word it, this one is also going to potentially be a graveyard cast, essentially, right? So this one is, the example they gave is Quarcy Revenant, 1 black vampire creature, 3/3, flying, death touch, lifelink. And then the renew cost is 2 black, exile this card from your graveyard. So you're casting it from your graveyard, but
For a different effect from what you got.
yeah,
first time.
you're not actually putting the creature back out. Once you exile, you put a flying counter, a death touch counter, and a lifelink counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So can't do it at instant speed, unfortunately. So you can't use it for combat shenanigans. But you can basically transfer the word soup from this creature via tokens onto another creature.
Right.
So that's kind of a cool ability. Then there is a Sagu Pummeler, 3 and a green beast creature, 4/4, reach, renew, 4 and a green, exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 1/1 counters and a reach counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So kind of again, you're not casting the spell, you're more of activating an effect from the graveyard, but it's doing things to, for the most part, at least with these two, boost your board state on your
Right.
creatures.
Right.
So it looks like Renew is probably going to be more of a creature-focused ability.
And it sounds like maybe they're going to just be putting counters on things, but maybe it'll do other things as
Yeah,
well.
there's a chance they could potentially do other things. Again, we're getting limited scoping on what cards are having the abilities we're going over. They're giving
Right. We
basically
didn't
2
crawl
cards.
through every card to see,
Right.
but most of them are revealed now. But
Mm-hmm.
last one we're going to go over is Flurry. Now, Flurry cares about the second spell you cast each turn. It's a triggered ability that triggers when you cast your second spell.
Yeah, so for the examples they give here, Poise, Practitioner, 2 and a white, Human Monk, 2/3, Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, scry 1. The scry 1 at the end there kind of makes that really nice,
Right.
I think. That's pretty nice for that one. The other one they gave is a 1 red white Human Monk, 3/3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life.
Right.
So kind of a cool little punch you in the face
Yeah.
ability just for casting your second spell. And again, the cool thing about this is each turn, not on your
Right.
turn, on each turn. So if you can manage to muster up 2 spells on everyone else's turn, this guy could be dealing 2, 4, 6, 8 in a 1 round table times 3. So
Yep.
24 damage technically.
Yeah.
So
Now, this is another ability, though, that it has existed. It just didn't have a name.
right, yeah.
Saruman. There's a Saruman card that cares every time you cast your second spell, I think you amass or something like that.
Right.
Or there's another one where every time you cast your second spell, everybody mills, and then you can cast something from there or something. Anyway, the point is there are other things that can do this. They don't say Flurry. So if you're trying to build a deck around this, look for them. They're out there. They're just not going to say Flurry.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of other cards too. Like there's that little blue fairy that's really popular, Tomb Raider, I think, or something like that. It's called where whenever you cast your second spell, draw a card. There's a lot in blue specifically that do that specific ability when you do your second spell. So, again, interesting mechanic. I think it's a pretty solid mechanic. I don't think it's going to be world breaking again because we've seen it before. We kind of know how it works.
Right.
It's very much going to be for your instant spell slinger kind of decks. Is going to be the ones that are going to take the most advantage of this effect.
Right. So let's move into some cards we like. So there's a lot of cards. We couldn't possibly go over every card that we like.
So many cards.
So many cards. And this
So
is a
many
good
cards.
set. There's a lot of good stuff here for a lot of different types of decks.
Right.
So, there's something for everybody. I asked for some feedback from some of my group on cards they liked. And some of the cards, I'm like, I don't care about that. I get why they cared about it, but I
Right.
don't care about it. But so there's going to be, and maybe some of the ones we're going to pick, maybe you don't care about. But these are just ones that stood out to us.
Right. Yeah. And I think, too, these are going to be ones that you might see a lot of other people kind of touch on, some of them, because they're just so nutty. Like, we can't not talk about
Yeah,
them.
well, there's a couple that are just.
Yeah. They're gross. So
They're gross. All right. So first we're going to do Baitor, Kin to All. 2, a white, a black, and a green legendary creature, Spirit Dragon. 5/7, flying. At the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have total toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. Then, if creatures you control have total toughness 20 or greater, untap each creature you control. Then, if each creature you control have total toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up.
yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, it's like, draw a card. Okay, okay, now I'll untap everything. That's pretty good.
Seaboard Muse.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. Oh, now all of you lose half your life. It's kind of like really good, or good, really good, and then,
Yeah. So the thing that's funny about it, because you said the first one was 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 7.
Yeah.
So you just need like 3 from just to draw a card. Not hard to do in the slightest.
Right. If you're using the Endure ability and putting counters on your creature,
Yeah.
you're going to get there.
Right. I mean, there's so many different ways to get there. And he was, what were his colors again?
White, black, green.
Yeah. So you're green. So,
Plenty of ways to double counters.
Yeah. Plenty of ways to double counters.
Cards that say double this creature's power and toughness at the beginning of combat are not plenty of cards, but there's a couple and they're gross.
Yeah. There's so many things that, because the other thing too is because his ability triggers at the beginning of your end step. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could even do the ones until the end, that say until the end of your turn, and they still work. because your turn doesn't end until the final part of your end step. So even if you do the ones that are like not great, because it's like, oh, creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Yeah, no, that's great for you. That still triggers his abilities.
Yep.
Because until end of turn means until you pass.
Well,
meaning-
it depends how it's worded. It might say till the beginning of the end step, but
Right.
even then, you can stack your triggers.
Correct. You can still stack your triggers. So
Yeah.
like,
no, before they go.
yeah, before they go away, real quick, everyone lose half your life. Round it up, by the way.
Yeah.
Again, one of the few times that you get to see a rounded up,
Yeah.
and this guy's got it. Definitely think it's a fun card. I definitely think a lot of people might build him because it's like, first off, you get to build big stompy creatures, but then you get additional benefits from big stompy creatures.
Oh, I'm a bad person. Tree of Perdition. Tree of Perdition is a 0/13. So right, that's good, right?
Right.
But Tree of Perdition says tap it, exchange its toughness with target player's life total, target
Right.
opponent's life total.
Yeah.
You could have 40 very easily.
Yeah.
You just gave them 13 life, and now they're going to lose half of that, and everybody else is going to be almost where they are.
Well, and the other thing that's gross too is anything that doubles triggered abilities.
Yeah.
Because rounded up twice, you're dead.
Yep.
Yeah, that's any even number, you're dead. Like it's you're I mean, like no one's making it out of that. I mean, everyone's gonna be so freaking low, and you're just gonna be chilling there.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
I mean, they won't be literally dead, but they'll be wishing they were.
Yeah, because even let's hypothetically.
I mean,
let's say-
Strionic Resonator costs 2 and tap it.
right. So I mean, just hypothetically, let's say everyone's at 40. They would go to 10.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not hard to kill 3 people when there's only 10 each. Like that's pretty easy.
And it's
to
only
do.
your opponents, and you're still at 40. You're like,
Yeah, you're sitting pretty. So I definitely think there's some shenanigans that will be had with this guy. I definitely think there will be some fun had with him. So I think he's a pretty cool card. I'm curious to see what happens with him, because again, his abilities are kind of silly, but there's a decent cost. I mean, 40 toughness is. I mean, that's a lot of butt. You gotta get some butts in there. But
you don't need 40. Oh yeah, it is 40. I thought it was 30 for some reason.
no. 40 is the last one. So
Yep.
so you need some butts, but not impossible, especially with defenders.
Yeah.
Defenders are always like 10.
When if you're playing dragons, you're probably got 4s, 5s, 6s.
Right. I mean, and I think that would me personally, I think it'd be funnier even to not even care about attacking and just put a bunch of things with defender in it that have like 13 defense and 15 like I don't care. Like I just care about getting the 40 and then triggering his thing and then triggering it again.
Oh.
And just like, so you just build this spirit dragon with no dragons in it, just a bunch of creatures with defenders and walls. And then at your end step, no one has life.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't even attack. I didn't do anything. Like, I think that would just
That's
be
crazy.
yeah, that'd be a silly way to play it. Like you just all wall defenders. So, cool ability. Think it should definitely be fun to see how it plays out and works out. So
Yep.
I'll get the next one. So Codis, the Fang Keeper. This guy's 1 black, green, blue zombie warrior legendary creature. Definitely like the art here. I hope this is the art that we're gonna see.
Yeah, that's the full border.
Yeah.
No border. art.
So the borderless art. So Duncan, hopefully he'll throw this one up behind us. I actually kind of like this. I like the idea where it's almost I can't really describe it. It's almost like painting-esque.
Yeah.
Like almost like it looks like it's a painting, not so much a card art, right?
Right.
So he's indestructible. First
That's
off,
always good.
great
That's pretty
ability.
good.
I mean, he is a 2/1, so
Yeah. He's gonna need it.
he's gonna need it. Whenever Kotis deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X card of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost.
I mean, but he's a
Gross.
2/1, right? So
Shut up. Gross. First off, in green. Very easy to make someone strong in green.
yeah, just,
very, very
and,
easy.
And in blue, plenty of ways to make a 2/1 sneak through. So you sneak them
And-
through,
and
then
protect 'em.
combat tricks,
yeah, and protect them.
boost them up.
And then black is just like, oh, okay, so you want to try to stop me? Death touch.
Yeah.
Like, infect. Like, get out of here. Like, this is such a gross card. Like, when you sent this to me and I saw it, I'm like, oh man, this is.
I'm building this.
Yeah, this is just so. And again, double strike. Because it's total damage dealt. So double strike gets you more cards and it boosts the CMC that you get to cast. Like it's
And here's the
It's
thing.
so
It
gross.
doesn't say with total mana value
No,
X.
no.
It says with mana value X.
Yeah.
If you get up to 7,
Right.
right?
Anything that's 7 or less you get to cast for free.
all of them.
Yeah.
Any of those. That
Any
are
number
7.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, didn't they just make a new Gonti that cares
Yeah.
about when you cast spells that you don't own from
Yeah.
exile? And
Yeah.
he's black, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess who would go great in this deck? Yeah. Throw Gonti in there, and then you get treasures for casting.
Don't say that. Bryce is listening.
I know Bryce, make this guy. Make this guy and put your Gonti in him because your Gonti deck needs help.
I think his
This is the-
Gonti has red.
Is it red?
I think it has red
I
in
thought
it.
he was. I thought he was black. Oh man, that would be. If he's red, then never mind, Bryce. I'm sorry, I teased
Yeah.
you. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you get to, I mean, dude, this is so silly. Like this is, because even if you want to do combat tricks before combat, there's 3 lands that give creatures with power 3 or less unblockable, basically.
Yeah.
And then you can boost the crap out of them and then hit people. Because he was he was under 3 when
Yeah.
you use the ability. So it
But
doesn't
even if
care
you don't,
anymore.
you could build him up and then just put Whisper Silk Cloak on him.
Yeah,
He's
Whisper Silk
unblockable.
Gloves, or give him menace, give him fear, give him like intimidate, give him a ridiculous amount of keywords that make him even harder to block. It's so silly. There's so many things you can do with this. He's 4 mana, so he's not like a big dump to get him started.
I mean,
Because you could set up and then you cast him and just equip everything like Swiftfoot Boots.
Helm of the Host.
Yeah. Mirror box.
Yeah.
Just, he's blue. You could put Sakashima in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could make 2 of them.
There's several Sakashima. Sakashima for 1,000 Faces.
Oh man, we gotta stop
Sakashima's
helping people build this
protege.
deck. You guys can figure it out. I think we give you enough help. This might be one of the most fun cards. I'll say it wrong. This might be one of the funnest cards that might come out of this set.
No.
This is a silly card. I think it's super fun. It's gonna be very much everyone knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to hide it. Like people know what you're doing.
You're going to need the Swiftfoot Boots or Whisper Silk Cloaks just to protect it.
Yeah, you're gonna need all the protect. I mean, thank God it's blue because you're gonna need a lot of counter spells.
Yeah.
So this one, out of the ones I think we're going over, I know there's other ones that I think people are gonna say are more powerful. This one by far might be my favorite though.
Yeah.
Like this is a fun card,
Yep.
and I'm excited to see what happens with it. Want to see what it ends up looking like in regards to price when it comes out. I think personally this one might start low but get pretty high pretty quick because I think a lot of people are gonna like this one.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So the next one we have
Elspeth.
new Elspeth. Elspeth Stormslayer. 3 white legendary planeswalker Elspeth. Comes in with 5 loyalty.
Yeah.
Standard ability. Static ability. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead.
Gross.
So a token doubler right there.
Again.
With all the token shenanigans we've talked about.
And white. White has so many. White has triplers.
Doesn't Helm of the Host we were just talking, doesn't it make tokens?
Yeah.
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 Wasn't white one of the colors, was it?
No.
No.
Thank God.
No.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh. If you could put this.
That would have been, they thought ahead. They thought of me. Anyway, okay. +1, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, which of course will make 2.
Right.
0, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Gross.
Then creatures you control gain flying until end of turn.
Gross. As a 0, by the way. Again.
Now hold on. I read that wrong. Oh, it said those creatures.
Yeah,
gain
those
flying.
creatures.
I'm looking at an art card and the art kind of flows behind the words.
Right.
So I thought it said then, it said those creatures. So for a second now I thought it was going to say then creatures gain flying. I'm like, wait, you just gave everything? Okay.
Yeah.
So it says those.
Yeah.
Those creatures gain flying. And then -3, destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater. It's pretty good, all of those. Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, so white already has a bunch of token generation and token doublers.
And triplers.
And triplers with the one god that they made for it. So, I mean, it's already white already has enough help as it is. There's another Elspeth that creates 3 tokens.
Yeah. Well, now guess how many she'll make now?
6. So I mean, like, white already has enough of these shenanigans, which is hilarious that they decided that it needed another one for some reason. I do feel, at least with this set specifically, they're trying to make a resurgence of planeswalkers, because they didn't just make planeswalkers; they made silly planeswalkers, as we're gonna see coming up here soon.
Yeah.
I'll hit the next one.
This is
The card.
the card. This is the most broken card in the set.
Yeah, hands down. This is if you want to build a dragon deck, you need Dracogenesis. Period. There's no getting around it. Every dragon deck needs this card. If you don't have it, find a way to get it.
If you're not playing red in your dragon deck, you're playing it wrong.
Yeah, 6 red enchantment. You may cast dragon spells without paying their mana costs. Now,
You once per turn, right? It says once per turn.
nope.
No?
Just you get to do it. Now, I will say this: the art that Duncan chose for this, which is I'm assuming is going to be the art everyone wants, is actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
I like the border they did. It kind of looks like dragon wings around the edge and stuff. Sick art. Absolutely sick art. Pretty sure they did that to distract you from what the card's doing.
Yeah. Pay no, look at this while you feel all the pain.
Yeah,
from the
this is
dragon.
like the Andrew of cards. Pay no attention to the ability on my card, but rather the pretty art surrounding the ability on my card. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They do something similar. I believe it's called Rooftop Storm for zombies, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Zombies aren't dragons. Like,
Zombies are usually tutus.
yeah. This is not a fair. Don't come to me and say, well, they did it for zombies. Stop it. Do you know what dragons do? Like, just close your eyes and pick a dragon. They're usually gross. Like, they're just not.
I mean, ancient copper, ancient silver.
Yeah, ancient black. I mean, they're just all
Brass.
gross. And so, for example, this card specifically, everyone's been talking about, because a lot of times Dragon's the dragon commander, right? Everyone's like, no. With this, Tiamat is the dragon, because she goes and gets 5 dragons from your deck and puts them in your hand. Then you get to cast all 5 of them for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's like, yeah, Tiamat's the new dragon queen. Like, she's it. She's
Yeah, because here's the thing. Dragon. What do you mean I get to put a permanent in?
Yeah, and
No,
I
no.
have to attack first, and
Yeah.
I get to draw them. Like,
Yeah.
no. Tiamat's just like, nope, you cast it, hit the field, great. Here's 5 more dragons. That
Well,
you
of
can
course,
cast.
I guess with Dragon 2 in the Tiamat, then you can go get your other permanents that aren't dragons.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is definitely the card from the set. I mean, obviously, besides Mox Jasper, we know that's the actual chase card. Like, we understand that.
Yeah, because it's the serialized.
Right, it's the serialized one, so we get that. But this is the card of the set. There is not a. I mean, there's some cards we're about to go over, but this is the card, I think, by far. With that being said, do you think it will make the bracket?
The game changers?
changers.
No.
You don't think it will make game changers?
It's limited to dragons. If that was on there, then they have to put Rooftop Storm to be. I know you're saying they're not comparable, but they would have to put
I
it.
know. I just
Dragons are high mana cost. This is high mana cost. It's 8 mana.
Yeah. But again, there's a lot of ways to.
Of course, Just Guys will. You know.
Yeah. So, I mean,
at least there's no Dockside to give you the mana, but there's still Just Guys will.
yeah.
You know, or the Silly Goblin where you have the sticker sheets.
Yeah.
That can get a lot of mana. You can get 5 mana out of that.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I think you're right because of the fact it is limited to dragons. We won't see it in the game changers list. However, I do think one of the other ones we're gonna hit probably will make the game changers list.
I think it
coming
might
up
be.
here.
But it's not this one. So
It's
the
not
next
this
one
one.
is Mox Jasper, which is the serialized card they have. You can get it in other treatments as well. It's a 0 cost mana rock,
Yep.
as most Mox are. Legendary artifact. At least they made it legendary.
Thank God.
Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if you control a dragon.
Right. So
Of course, with Dracogenesis, you don't need this, but
right. Upside, downside of this card. Upside, really cheap. Get it out literally on turn 1. Downside, need a dragon to activate it.
yeah.
However, there are technically ways to get around that are pretty inexpensive.
Shapeshifters.
Right. There's a lot of really cheap shapeshifters that are technically dragons
Yep.
that are 1 or 2 mana.
All they need is the changeling ability.
That's it. And so you can do it. There's other creatures that are really cheap, like they're like like dragon servants or something like that, and
Yeah.
they're low mana. So again, there's a lot of ways to get around it for sure. So yes, it's limited because you have to have a dragon out to really get the usefulness out of it. However, I don't think that's a big enough hindrance to really make this like not viable. I would still put if I built a
If
dragon
you're
deck.
playing a dragon deck,
Yeah.
it's as good as Mox Amber.
Yeah.
I don't play Mox Amber really too
Right.
much because once your board's wiped, it's not anything.
Right.
And it's the same problem here.
Right.
But if you're playing a dragon deck and you would play Mox Amber, you should be playing this.
Right, and the point that I would argue against people when they're like, "Well, dragons are so expensive. By the time you're casting your dragons, you already have enough mana." Yeah, no, there's never enough mana for dragons. First off, like the more mana you can get, the better. Especially if you can get mana that costs you no.
I mean, if there was a card
No
that
mana.
said once per turn when you cast a dragon, gain a mana of any color,
Yeah.
you'd probably play it.
Right, because
what this is.
Essentially
Look at it
that's
that
what
way.
this is. Yeah, and so I would argue and say it's still worth putting in every dragon, a tribal deck because it's still good. It's still going to be viable. Yes, Dracogenesis now exists. However, 1 in 99. You got to get there in order to really, So I get that. Same thing with this. You got to get
Plus,
it to use it.
it's probably
But-
got to get removed.
right.
Or you win.
Yeah.
Those are the two options.
Yeah, if Dracogenesis hits the field and people don't have a way to get rid of enchantments, which again, this is, kind of dipping our toes in the building a well-rounded deck kind of concept that we've talked about previously before on the show. This is why, because if you are too focused in on what you're trying to do and not able to deal with what other people are doing, you're kind of giving people the game, and Dracogenesis is that case.
Yep.
If you don't have a way to get rid of it when someone tries to cast it, you might as well just start cleaning up your stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mox Jasper is a good one. I like it for the Dragon Kinship. I think it's cool. Maybe depending on how it does and how people feel about it, maybe they'll make some other ones like this,
Yep.
kind of tribal based.
One
mana.
thing I did mean to point out on Dracogenesis that I didn't, just like Rooftop Storm, it does not say from your hand.
Right.
So your commander, free,
Yeah.
if it's a dragon.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
So it does not pay for commander tax, though.
Yeah. So you still have to pay for commander tax because that is a different
It's
cost.
a tax, kind of.
Yeah. All right. Next one on the list is Warden of the Grove. Again, super cool art. I like the way they did it, the styling. 2 and a green. Hydra, at the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. Now, this is one that we went over on the endure ability. So this is that ability. And again, this is what I was talking about with this specific card. The ability is not worded out, right?
Yep.
So there's no, unless you look it up, you have no way of knowing what endure does.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of times the cool art that they shorten the words because they don't
because they
wanna
want
take
more art
Yeah.
on the card. So, and it's a 2/2. Pretty cool overall ability, like we kind of mentioned before. There's some shenanigans you can do with this, with it being in green, obviously. Really easy to double tokens or 1/1 counters, which this can produce either.
Yep.
So, kind of cool idea, cool ability. Don't think this is, again, anything game changing like we mentioned before, but definitely a cool concept, and we'll see how it plays out in the set.
Yep. So the next one we have is Nature's Rhythm. X and 2 green sorcery. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle.
That's pretty good.
Not done.
Oh,
Harmonize. X. Green, 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 green. As a reminder, Harmonize says you can cast it from your graveyard, and you can tap a creature to reduce its cost. So you can do it a second time.
that same turn,
So that same turn
as long as you have
for
4 green.
green mana. And let's say you brought out an 8. Well, the next 8 only cost you 4 mana as opposed to the 10 mana you paid for the other one.
Yeah.
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 And that's green.
That's green.
Yeah, guess what that's going to go great in? Any dragon deck.
Yeah.
Because dragons are big, beefy boys, and I want to get 2 out in 1 turn. This is a pretty cheap way to do it. Man, that is interesting. That is, whew.
Yeah.
Man, they really leaned into the dragons, huh?
Well, I mean, it's not just for dragons.
I know, but man,
Dinosaurs, this would work.
oh god, yeah. That's true. That's a
Is that
good-
better or worse? I don't know.
I mean, it's a little. It's both. I don't know. It's both. I don't know how it is, but it is. It's both. So that's gross. Jeez Louise. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out with things like that. I mean, that harmonized mechanic. Yeah, that's just encouraging big beefies to throw them in. So dinosaur decks, I think you're right, are gonna love this. Dragon decks are going to love this. Anything that produces and wants big things is going to love these types of cards where now you get to tap down the biggest thing you control to help pay for it, especially if it's X like that one.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Man, that's we are in for a world of hurt when
Yep.
this set comes out.
There's also tricks you can do.
Yeah.
I don't have a big beefy creature when I want to harmonize.
Yeah.
Okay, for 1 green mana, you can Titan growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, +4/+4.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll do it. Yeah. Yeah. Jeez. Well, that's actually funny because that just reminds me of Aragorn, the Uniter. Anytime I cast a green spell, I get to target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, that's gross.
So you cast this.
and then I get a green card.
But
Cast
no. The green card you get goes into the battlefield.
Oh, it goes into play. It doesn't cast it for free.
No, it does not cast it for free.
I was gonna
But
say.
still, you probably did other things. But my point is, that's one you just get for casting it. You give something a +4/+4.
Right.
You know, but with the Titanic growth, it's like a dark ritual in green.
Yeah.
You know, you pay 1 green, you're netting 3 extra mana because you just gave it 4 power.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and again, Aragorn the Uniter, it's actually 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's silly. So
Because it's on the cast.
yeah, whenever you cast it, you get to give
Although you're paying the mana, you have to pay the mana before the cast, so you can't.
right. But the thing is, though, if you do the Titanic growth first with Aragorn the Uniter, he gets to give something +4/+4. Then the Titanic gives something +4/+4.
I see what you're
So
saying.
you give an 8, and then you use that, so you get another +4/+4. So now you're up +12. And then you can tap whatever creature, which usually will be Aragorn, because I think he's a 5/5. So you can go get something 17.
Yeah.
for
You want to scoop now, or you want me to go get it?
You want me to go get it and show you what I'm about to drop? Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, again, that's a kind of silly shenanigans card, kind of encouraging the big stompy stuff. It also kind of encourages prowess, because prowess is something that is relevant with monks, which there are some in this set. That's kind of part of this set theme is monks too. And prowess is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1. Again, very easy to get something beefed up, and I think it's +1/+1 until end of turn, if I remember correctly. So, so the next one we're gonna hit, and this is the other one I would say everyone is kind of
gonna want
and anticipating it coming out. Ugin, Eye of the Storms, 7 colorless planeswalker.
comes in with 7.
Comes in with 7 loyalty, so gross. Already has a lot.
That's Ugin. You know, they seem to always come in with 7.
Yep. When you cast this spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. So
when you cast, so it does not have to resolve.
Does not have to resolve. So just for casting it, you already get an exile. So,
but at least that's once. I mean, it's just one thing when you cast that.
Whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors.
Well darn.
Then it's +2. You gain 3 life and draw a card. Why that's a plus ability is beyond me. It makes no sense that's all benefits and no downside. That's ridiculous. 0. Add 3 colorless mana. Again, why that is not negative.
I mean, that is Black Lotus.
Yeah.
0, 3 mana.
Yeah. And again, you're going to be playing him as a colorless deck. You're like, that's still...
Not necessarily.
I mean...
I would throw this in anything where I'm playing artifacts. I would throw this in anything.
An artifact deck would love him.
If I just want mana and to draw cards, gain life, I have occasional artifacts. I'll do the other thing.
Yeah. And then pull off the big baddie.
Oh, there's a big baddie too?
A big baddie still.
Oh, no.
11. -11. Search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards. Exile them, then shuffle. Until end of turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana costs.
How many cards can you get?
Any number.
Any number.
Any number of colorless non-land cards. Stupid. If
So,
this
so what you're
doesn't
saying
make
is
the
all
game,
of your colorless
if this
non-land
doesn't make a
cards.
game changers list, I will flip this table. This is ridiculous. There is no way this does not get put on the game changers list.
Planeswalkers? Is there even a Planeswalker on the list?
But the difference between this planeswalker and every other planeswalker in existence is all you have to do is get to his ult and you win the game. There is no stopping you because this is ridiculous.
I mean, come on. It's not like there's good non-colored creatures.
Yeah, it's not like there's any cards that give you benefits from casting from exile. It's
Right.
not like there's anything that, I don't know, is colorless that people want. What? I mean, I couldn't think of anything, Emrakul.
Yeah. Eldrazi decks just got even grosser.
Yeah, I mean, they already have Annihilator and all the other shenanigans that they have. Let's just make it so it's impossible to basically counter all of them because we're going to let someone cast all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way that this not instantly winning the game is if someone was kind of a little cocky about it and their entire deck was colorless, obviously minus the lands, and somehow you made them, as soon as they did this, in response to them casting the first one, you force them to draw X amount of cards and then they draw themselves out because they have so many cards in exile.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have enough cards to get through the draw. Like that's about the only thing this is worthwhile is doing that cheeky play. But besides that, like this is ridiculous. Like what person, like who hurt you? Whoever made this card, who hurt you? What multicolored deck hurt you so much that whenever you cast a non-colored spell, you get to exile anything with one or more colors in it? Who hurt you? Because that is so rude. Because anything that's a 0-drop artifact, like, I don't know, Mox Jasper gets to trigger this. Soul Ring gets to trigger this. Arcane Signet gets to trigger this. All of your rocks. Like, it's just ridiculous. This is insane. And it's just literally a better Swords to Plowshare, basically, on a stick.
Yep.
Because it's any permanent, not creature, permanent that's one or more colors. So any enchantments, any planeswalkers, any artifacts that are anything that's one or more colors that's a permanent, you get to hit. Like, why? We were just talking about how you guys were doing so good on scaling back, and then you make this.
I do want to say, I think you are being a bit hyperbolic.
I'm not, though.
Yeah, you are. It's not.
Because if, again, just for casting it, you get to which granted, seven to get an exile off, not the best.
Right. There are
exchange.
Eldrazi already to do that.
Right. However, anytime you cast a colorless spell, again, there is a lot of very, 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 very cheap colorless spells. And you're just going to start exiling
And unfortunately,
things.
as soon as they cast it, if you don't counter it, they're going to get to go 0 and get 3 colorless mana to go cast a colorless spell with.
Yeah, crazy.
So they're probably going to get 2 triggers on the first turn.
the first turn, right?
I don't think it's as bad as you're saying.
I don't know. We have to see it in the wild, man, but
I think it'll be okay.
I don't know.
They have made way more broken cards than this.
According to Magic, they haven't. Because there's only 40 cards on the Game Changers list. I mean, I listen, I will say this. If a little bit of the joking aside, if this is out in the wild for a little while and it is having a drastic impact on it and they don't put it on the Game Changers list, I genuinely will be upset. Because there are cards that we discussed that are on that list that absolutely should not be on that list.
And it may make the Game Changers.
I mean, it might make it at launch. Like, they might see it just in the 1 week of pre-release, and they're like, yeah, we have to put it on the Game Changer list. Which, again, the reason why I like the Game Changer list is because it's not banned. You can still play it. It's completely legal in those brackets that allow Game Changers 3 and up, right? So, again, I like the idea of the Game Changers list, kind of nodding back to that since we're winding this up here. We got one card left to go over. But I do like the idea that, you know, there is this kind of pseudo-casual ban list that they'll kind of protect the tier 1, 2, and 3 brackets.
Right.
And I do think, honestly, just looking at this at face value, I do foresee this could be a problem. Again, I think to Duncan's point, if you don't immediately keep it from hitting the field on that turn, you're gonna lose a lot. People are gonna lose a lot of permanents.
The thing I will say, you know, in my head, I'm like, well, you know, in an average deck, they're going to get their artifacts out. But if you're playing Ugin, you probably have the other Ugins. They're pretty gross too. You go get them.
Yeah, and they're colorless.
They're colorless.
Yeah, and
then they're going to do their shenanigans.
right, like, you know, it's kind of one of those things where this is kind of a snowball effect, like where when you realize what's going to happen, it's like, okay, so I can kind of play around with the shenanigans of this, like you said, by having other Ugins and other things that care about colors. For example, imagine an Animar deck with this guy in it. Yeah, I get to cast all my artifacts for free always.
Well, if that's an Animar artifact deck, that's not how everybody builds it.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, every his power goes up, everyone one counter, your artifacts cost that much less. Or your colorless spells, I think, right? Is it colorless or artifacts?
Creatures.
Yeah, yeah. So,
it's just your creatures' costs.
right. So you get all those colorless creatures and
Blightsteel Colossus.
yeah, cost you 0. You with this guy out, you just cost a 0 removal. You cost another 0 removal. You cost another 0. Like that's the
problem. It's not just these going and getting these things. They're also triggering the exile effect.
and I think that's the part that's going to hopefully show them, okay, this might need to be put up there, because again, the fact that you're targeting any colored permanent, not just creatures, again, like Swords of Plowshares or Path of Exile, any colored permanent, enchantments, and like that's, I think, what's going to push over the edge, because again, it's the fact that it just keeps happening, and it's not limited to once per turn, twice. No, just as long as you cast a colorless, boom, you get to do it.
Yeah.
And if you can cast colorless at instant speed to deal with people's stuff, guess what? You get to remove that thing at instant speed.
On their colorless instance.
Right, exactly, and that's my point. So I think that's the thing. I think ultimately that's my concern about it, is that part of it, is just kind of seeing the engine churning and just getting out of control real quick, where you can essentially, as long as you can cast enough colorless spells, you can basically board wipe everybody.
Yeah,
as long as
that
they have
one
colors.
is pretty gross. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with it. The big one that we're going to announce, touch bases on real quick, he already exists. He's not a new card, but we've mentioned recently, actually, I think, had not seen a reprint in a while. And despite the fact that they listen to Duncan sometimes and they do it to spite him, I think they may have done this to maybe give us a little bit of joy. Crater Hoof Behemoth is back. They reprinted it. So that's pretty cool. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a great little beastie that comes out, gives everything +X equal to the number of creatures you control and haste.
Yep.
So
he's a finisher and trample.
Yeah, and everything has trample too. So he's a finisher for sure, especially for token decks, which we kind of mentioned at the beginning of this. We think they were kind of leaning into with this set.
Yep. So before we sign off, I did want to mention we had our drawing for the winner.
Yeah.
Winner of the Marvel Secret Lair deck was Micah T.
Congrats.
That is all packaged up, getting ready to be shipped out, and hoping to ship it out tomorrow.
Tomorrow when we're recording, so 2 days ago when you're hearing this.
Yes.
Right, there you go.
Yep. So the Tricky Terrain deck was won by Tim O. The D&D Secret Lair was won by Daniel L. The backpack was won by Daniel G. The crossbody bag was won by Bryce R. And the T-shirt was won by a gentleman simply known as Arch Chaos.
Well, first off, great name. Second off, congratulations to you guys. Thanks for participating.
Congrats.
We
Thanks for helping us out.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys,
subscribing
and doing all that fun stuff and supporting us on Patreon. It means a lot to us. We definitely want to try to do more stuff like this in the future for maybe more goals. So since we just hit this one, we might take a little bit of break and then maybe come back to it for maybe a next goal of 150 or 200 subscribers, depending on where we're at.
Yep.
But
although we're growing pretty fast, so
yeah,
it might be a bigger number.
Yeah, it might have to be a bigger number than that. But we definitely appreciate you guys supporting us. It means a lot to us. We're just a couple of buddies that enjoy Magic and want to share our love of that game with other people. And even sometimes when we're wrong, give poor perspectives or read things incorrectly. We're still here to have a good time. So thank you to you guys for your support. We truly do appreciate it.
Yes, we do. And I will say too, I have reached out to all the winners. The only one I have not heard back from is Arch Chaos. So if you're listening, please email us back and let me know where to send your T-shirt. But that's all the time we have for today. Again, just want to thank everybody for your support over this time. We've gained a lot of new subscribers. Happy to have you. If you want to reach out to us, cast@commanderspod is always the best way. If you have feedback, ideas, a deck you want us to talk about, anything like that, just send us an email. You can always check us out at commanderspod.com. Patreon.com/commanderspod if you want to support us. We even have a free tier, so you can just kind of keep tabs, and when we do a contest again, there are always benefits for Patreon. And that's about it, but thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jack, and Sloan guide the way in the world of EDH we play. So tune in, friends, let's fly and go. In the Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave our